everyone, my name is Disney Miss Lizzie and welcome to the second book of our Disney Book Club. Today we will be reviewing the graphic novel Evil Thing. The original books comes from the Villains series written by author Serena Valentino. Evil Thing was released in 2020, whilst the graphic novel came out the following year with freelance artist Ariel Jovalanis creating the eye-catching illustrations. Before writing Villainous, Valentino wrote several books and graphic novels that focused on the gothic and horror genres. Her titles included How to Be a Werewolf, How to Be a Zombie, Nightmares and Fairy Tales, and A Monster's Christmas. Whilst reading Evil Thing, I kept a video diary to document my thoughts. I also kept a documentation of my brief stay at Hastings. So with a bit of sightseeing, here is the video diary. Today, it's a very busy day. We went to the aquarium and saw lots of fishes. Had a walk around some of the old town, had a little bit of an explore. Had some fish and chips because you have to when you're at the seaside. Yeah, I'm going to read this evening. I've no idea what it's about other than it is Cruella's story. Don't know if I'll finish it in one go, so I might read it when I come back from holiday as well, so it might jump cut to here at the seaside, here at home, here in the office. But yeah, I'm actually very excited to read this. Okay, so I'm up to about chapter 13. Again, similar with Frozen Heart, it's not what I was expecting, and it's certainly not in the direction that I was anticipating. So this goes all the way back to Anita and Cruella's school days. Anita goes to live with Cruella. She's in a lower social standing. The closeness of their relationship, I wasn't expecting that at all. And you also meet her mother and father. Her mother is more or less Cruella. She's driven by gifts, she's driven by items, by fashion, where her father is completely different. And because of Cruella's mother's drive to stay within society, she then passed these sort of notions onto her daughter. And Cruella is only able to identify love if it's through materialistic gain. And all the people that love Cruella, that show her love naturally, that it isn't recognised in her brain. So that's excuse me, that's a good twist, or an interesting character development for a character like Cruella, and for what she does and what she stands for. It would have been difficult to have made her sympathetic, particularly from somebody like myself who loves and adores animals. So to give her a sympathetic past and to feel empathy for her is very, again, it's something I wasn't quite expecting, but this does seem to be the sort of thing with the villain's tale, is to give them an empathetic storyline. I'll probably carry on reading for a little bit tonight, though I think we're having takeaway pizza and I don't want the book to get all greasy, so I might stop when we have that. So today was the last day of our little break, and we went to Battle, and it is an amazing place. I was completely bowled over by the history and the architect, and I love history anyway, so it was fascinating to sort of walk along the battle, or the field where the Battle of Hastings had taken place. So that was interesting. what's happened in Cruella though, that's the main thing. Thoughts on Cruella are still more or less the same. I am enjoying it as a graphic novel. There's not much really I can update other than what we've been doing today, and I just haven't had a chance to properly sit down and read it properly yet, though I might do, or should really do, tonight and tomorrow morning before we head off home, and then I'll take it with me and I'll read it in the evening and I will keep you all updated. So yeah, it's been a nice week, a nice 5 days. I'm ready to go back and start editing. So once we got back, I then finished Evil Thing. So the main thing is, what did I think of the graphic novel? So one of my favourite things about Evil Thing were the illustrations. I think Jovalinas has done a remarkable job in this. I love how detailed the eyes are in the close-ups, and I love the expressions that she's poured into these characters throughout the story, and they did take my breath away. I loved looking at them. So that was one of the main aspects that drew me into Cruella's story. I also loved how the illustrations were all in red and white, something that's quite iconic with Cruella, but it wasn't so loud that it sort of drowned out what the text was saying. They're all very subtly done, and it keyed into the emotional impact that Cruella's upbringing had, and it didn't dominate the rest of the story, and I thought that was very well done. It was a very bold choice, a very brave choice to do, because red is such a dramatic and quite overpowering colour. But to do it in such a subtle tone was magnificent. I loved it. Another thing that I loved about the illustration was the impact of the earrings. Although they catch your eye, you just think, oh, they're glaring because of the story, because of their fashion. But then as you go into it, it's the impact that they have in the story. And when it came up to that point, I was, oh my gosh, slapped my hand on my forehead. I was like, this is so important, and this is so cool. And for something so subtle to have played such a big part, and then for myself to go, oh my goodness, it was brilliant. And I really, really do commend that. Fantastic. Another thing that blew me away about the graphic novel was the afterword that Valentino poured in. It was something that I wasn't expecting, particularly to hear the author speak to the audience. Usually you don't get that, or you get an afterthought of, okay, this was the inspiration, etc., etc. But then to have the author step into the character's world and to be part of their world was a very interesting and quite surreal experience, to hear her give her explanation as to why she decided to leave Cruella in Hell Hall and why that was the best place to put her in. And the relationship that authors have with their characters is something that's always fascinated me. So to have that little insight into the relationship that she had with Cruella DeVille, again, it really added to the tone of why she did what she did. So again, well done. That was a very, very strong point in the graphic novel, and something I wasn't expecting but absolutely loved. So Cruella's housemaid, Miss Prickett, probably had the biggest pull on me, as in she was the one that drew me into the story more than any other characters, I would say. Anita, however, didn't have that pull that I wanted. I wanted to be pulled in by her story. I wanted to be pulled into the character. But I'd probably say she was probably a weaker character than I wanted it to be, possibly because this is Cruella's story, so she's not going to be involved that much. But I just wasn't dragged in, and I wanted to know more about her. I wanted to know her situation a bit more. Yes, we know that she's from a lower class, a lower societal class than Cruella, but I wanted to know more about her background, and it didn't quite gel as much as I wanted it to. As I said in the video diary, in the film, it's just alluded that they were old school friends, and then in the book, it turns out to be something bigger, but I don't know if that wasn't the right path to take. I think I would have preferred it if she had been more distant. Another thing that I found difficult to believe was Perdita's role.
So in The Evil Thing, Perdita originally belonged to Cruella, but then she shuns Perdita, and that's when Anita takes her. But I just couldn't buy it. I wish it had been Anita had the dog first. Anita had Perdita first, and Cruella felt threatened by Perdita. I think that would have been a better storyline rather than to have had Cruella as this animal-loving person who then flipped and changed. And for Perdita, she has no recollection of Cruella at all. And it would have been better if she'd have had a more impactful and negative experience, that she'd always been with Anita, and then Cruella, who had become jealous of Anita's relationship with Perdita, possibly because, I don't know, Cruella was pushed to the side more by Anita, to have then taken it out on Perdita, but then to have justified it, sort of thing. So that aspect, I didn't fully... It just didn't feel believable for me anyway. That's how I felt about Perdita. This just didn't feel like Cruella. At times, her dialogue felt forced. I wouldn't say that is a reflection on Serena's writing, but it just didn't sound like Cruella. I couldn't hear Cruella's voice, and the only times that I could hear her was when dialogue from the film was then imported into the graphic novel. And that's when that's when I can hear it. That's when Cruella's voice starts to stand out for me. So another thing that also felt slightly strained and forced in and shoehorned in was Cruella's mother and father. So Serena Valentino has taken a sort of cliched approach of having a loving parent and a cruel parent. And at times it just didn't feel natural. It felt very cliched at moments. And although you do feel empathy for Cruella trying to appease her mother, trying to get her mother's attention, and through that was through materialistic gain, it just felt very cliched, and I couldn't quite buy it, because I felt like, okay, I know what's coming. Also, a passage of time. I would have liked this to have started early in Cruella's life, and for the 101 Dalmatians story to have started a little bit later. The reason for the white hair and the black hair and the skin, the hollow cheeks. Yes, it's a very tragic story, but I have read it and seen it done better in other works. So, for example, if you haven't read The Woman in Black by Susan Hill, you must read it. Brilliant, brilliant, brilliant book. Brilliant story. Fantastic. Can't recommend it enough. The film with Daniel Radcliffe is okay. It's not terrible, but the book and the play especially is fantastic. And if you get the opportunity to go and see it, go and see it. Anyway, back to the point in hand. They have a similar effect of the passage of time, and the sister, Mrs. Drablow, I think it's Mrs. Drablow, it's been a while since I've read it. She sort of suffers a similar event to Cruella, and through shock, she starts to age, she develops a skin disorder, and she looks very skeletal, similar to how Cruella loses all the weight, her hair becomes a shock of white, a shock of black. It's very similar, but with The Woman in Black, the passage of time was stronger. It felt stronger, it felt more concrete, whereas this just felt very flimsy. So rating-wise, I'll probably give it a 3 out of 5. The stronger points were for definitely the illustrations. I love the illustrations, and I hope they can bring Ariella Jovelis back, because they're wonderful. They're beautiful, they're dramatic, they're gothic, love them. I also loved the originality of trying to give Cruella empathy, and at times there were empathetic moments. And to do that to quite an absurd and abhorrent character is a very brave choice. So I commend Serena Valentino for that, as well as the ending. I loved the ending. I thought it was very well done, very well executed. I think it's a very, very genius way of explaining her actions, explaining why she did what she did, and to also break the fourth wall and to step over into a different part of a author and reader relationship. I absolutely love that. The only downside would be the originality of the text. I'm not sure that the mother and father plot really worked. It did feel very cliche in moments, just, oh yeah, here we go, evil mother, evil good father, good parent sort of thing. And the Cruella dialogue just felt very false in places, and it didn't feel like her. But have you read Evil Thing? What did you think? Please let me know in the comments whether there were any drastic changes between the original text and the graphic novel, because I would love to know and would be very interested in finding out. So anyway, thank you so much for joining me. If you like what I do and want to know more, then please hit that subscribe button, like and share this video so we can build up the community. And for more Disney trivia, quotes, song lyric challenges, etc., then please follow me on TikTok and Instagram. And there is also a Disney Miss Lizzie Reddit page, which I still have no idea what I'm doing with it, and would greatly appreciate and admire anyone who could help me set it up and make it more interactive and fun for everyone. So anyway, thank you so much, guys. Have a great day, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.